This week's episode is in partnership with Intact Insurance, here for you and for everything you care about. It's my friend Russ Broom. He wrote this theme song. That's him playing guitar. That's him playing bass. That's him clapping. This is the Jann Arden podcast. Welcome back to show number 16 on your dial. My special guest today is Caitlin Green.
Hello.
You're not just my sidekick, and you're more than a sidekick. I say sidekick, but you know I say that with love in my heart.
I like it.
Caitlin is also a producer on this show, so she books the guests and she puts so much of this together. So I say that with love in my heart. But you're my guest today.
I like it, and I like to imagine that I'm in a little sidecar and you're in the motorcycle.
I think you should be on the motorcycle and I should be in the sidecar.
Hey, true story about me. I don't have a driver's license, so you wouldn't want that.
You don't have a driver's license? You don't drive at all?
Nope.
Okay, well, but what happened to the child, the young Caitlin? The first thing that all of us want to do when we turn 16 is get a driver's license. What happened to her?
See, I didn't want to do that. I don't know why. It's not that I shouldn't say I didn't.
Driving Miss Daisy or what?
I think I was like, I'm a city slicker. So, I grew up on streetcars. I grew up on in a taxi, like on public transit. And so this wasn't a necessity for me to get around. And then I wound up settling into my best friend growing up, or best friend in high school, Ashley Korzak.
Hi, Ashley.
Hello. She lived right around the corner from me. I walked over to her house. We drove to school together, and she had a convertible Jeep. Wow. And she was just the coolest with that Jeep. And so I was like, what am I doing?
She had thick hair too.
She did. She had beautiful thick, like sandy blonde hair, and she was athletic and talented. And
you are so describing me as a teenager.
Oh, exactly. And I just rolled over. I was like, hi, can I get a ride? So anyway, so I was blessed with shotgun in her car. And then my high school boyfriend also had a car. And so I was like, I have nailed it. I get to just ride around. I'm passenger. And then that just stuck around. I went away to university. I went away to university in Halifax, went to Dalhousie, and also didn't need a car. Came back, got summer jobs downtown, still didn't need a car. And then I couldn't afford one. So.
And is there any part of you that wants to have a driver's license?
Now there is, kind of. Yes, now there is. But now
Are you afraid to learn?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's okay. Just to kind of cheer you on, one of my very best friends, he did not have a license until, I'm going to say 4 years ago, and he is 49 this year.
Ooh.
So he got his license, I think he was 44. He took lessons, and he was really between shame and glory. Because he felt ashamed to tell people he was taking lessons. And I was just like, gosh, Charlie, stop it. This is so awesome that you're doing this.
Yeah, I don't feel, I guess I'm slightly embarrassed, but not really. I don't really feel embarrassed by it, but now it's like, now it's a thing, right? And so
what if I right now just said, I will pay for lessons for you to go learn to drive a car, and we will follow along with you as you learn.
We can put a camera in there like James Corden's.
Well, we wouldn't do that because I wouldn't want to distract you.
I have gone for driving lessons with an instructor. I have driven a car illegally. Not illegally. I had a G1, and so I had a learner's, which means you've passed the written test.
Okay.
And so I've been behind the wheel before in my life. I'm okay. But anyway, I would try it. I would do it. I'm going to have to learn at some point. It does bother me a bit because I'm an independent person. But then Uber came along, and I just thought, this is so easy. And then everyone started saying self-driving cars.
In the big scheme of things, yeah, if you could live long enough, you might get yourself a self-driving car. In the big scheme of things, it probably is cheaper for you and for a lot of people to do Uber on the amount of time, like if they did a big shop at Costco.
Yeah.
Or the Price Club or whatever, that, you spend your $70, you get the big black SUV, and you just sort of vector that into your 2-month Costco trip.
Honestly.
That is a lot more cost effective than, the gas over that period and the insurance. If you're a young person, insurance they don't trust young people,
They
so they
don't-
really ding them.
Well, so that was the other thing. So my husband and I do have a car. He drives the car, but we have a household vehicle now that we could afford one. When we were younger, for years, we were saving for a place. We couldn't afford a car and saving for a place and Toronto rent, but now we have one.
I see. Our lives are so different. When I was growing up, we could buy cars for $100. Do you understand this? Like, you would not believe, and I am not exaggerating, by the time I was 25 years old, I had had 19 cars.
No.
Yep. Word of a lie. I sat down one day and I counted them out with my friend. She goes, what about that? What about the Maverick? What about the two Pintos? What about the... There was a car that I drove when I was 17 years old. It was a truck car. It was called a Fargo. Look that up, folks. Okay. It's half van, half truck. So it's got the round nose like an old VW van, and then it's got the truck box. It's called a Fargo.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. So
this thing is cool.
But further to that, because we lived in rural Alberta, we used purple gas, which is illegal. So our check stops back in the day when I used to drive this thing to high school was the RCMP. They'd pull you over with basically a turkey baster to check to see if you were running a vehicle other than a farm vehicle on purple gas.
What's purple gas?
All you prairie people, be with me. They're with me on this. Purple gas is a cheap, crappy alternative that burns not great, that is not clean burning. And it was only supposed to be used in tractors and freaking, I don't know, a gas lawn blower, just tractor vehicles or agricultural vehicles. So we had a gas tank on our property, and it was filled with purple gas for some other vehicles. But anyway, further to that, in that Fargo, I did get pulled over once and get checked for purple gas.
With the turkey baster.
And he let me go. He let me go. He goes, this you can't be doing this. Don't let me catch you again. But in that car, there was no front seat in it. And my dad cut the legs off of an old lawn chair. I'm not kidding. And so it was the lawn chair unfolded in there because you had to have something low.
Yeah.
And I rode around in a lawn chair.
Oh my gosh.
In this Fargo.
This is amazing.
But I mean, that's the difference between you and I. But honest to God, the cars that we bought, we'd look in the newspapers and we'd get things for like $110, and it would run for 2 months, or sometimes they would run for like a year, and you're like, yeah, I got my $100 out of that one.
And that's still, that's still very much my father's attitude.
That?
I don't know how much you would. I don't know what the cheapest.
I bet you $1,500 you could get a car.
Probably, yeah, you probably could. And then to me, it was always the monthly upkeep. It was the insurance, the parking, the gas, the whatever. But my dad, that was always his attitude towards cars. Even now, he says, I'm getting a car and I drive it until it falls apart, and I don't care how outdated this is.
Well, you're supposed to look after it.
Oh, and he does not want to do that. No.
But my God.
And it's just funny too, because I grew up, he loves road trips. He's from Prince Edward Island, and one of his joys, one of his nostalgia trips is to drive to and from Prince Edward Island from Toronto. He gets a kick out of it. And I'm like, I'll be on the flight.
I'm
Thanks.
sure he's not in a $100 car.
Well,
Adam,
actually,
did you ever have a very cheap car? Like
technical producer Adam Cart,
did you have a cheap car at one point in your life?
Yeah, I got some hand-me-downs and I drove some clunkers.
What's the cheapest car you ever bought as a kid?
I think my parents' 1986 Toyota Camry.
Ooh.
And how much was it? Do you remember?
It was like a couple $1,000s.
Oh my God! No, you're way that's like luxury.
I never had $100.
We've been talking about buying cars for like $125.
See, and this is the thing. Like that was it always felt out of reach, and I think that's part of the reason why when I got older, I just never had my license. So I was like, what's the point? I can't afford a car anyways. Now it is genuinely stupid because I contribute to car payments every month, and we have an underground parking spot, and I don't use it. So that's dumb.
Yeah. Well, listen, you're not missing out on anything. The world has changed.
Yeah.
I drive as little as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But I live out in rural Alberta. So I'm a good 35 minutes out of the edge of town. So once we hit the edge of town, but I mean, and I lease a car.
Yeah.
So I'm all with the buying thing because my dad was one of those guys, Jesus Christ, I don't want to swear, but he would just say, you buy a new car and it goes down by 40% as soon as you drive it off the lot. And he's not wrong.
No.
So I just lease now. It's fun to drive something new every 3 or 4 years.
It is fun. I mean, my husband says that. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it is fun to drive something new every 3 or 4 years. And, I guess safety is all.
Yeah.
I just, even my nephew, I tried to give him this old Jeep that I have. It's it's not that old. It's like 2005. So it's 15 years old. He didn't want it.
Oh, really?
No.
See, yeah, it doesn't. If you're turning your nose up at a free car.
I don't think it's that. I mean, I do have it. It's a convertible Jeep, so that they have a hard top that comes off. So a few years I took the hard top off. I had a couple of guys help me, and we've lost the bolts. So I haven't had the top back on that Jeep since. So I have been in a few storm accidents with my dog in her bag, like strapped to the front seat.
In the rain?
Raining in that Jeep. So I sort of get that, but I'm sure I can go on. I bet you I could go online and find, as my dad would say, find the nuts for the top of the thing for the Jeep. I've got the soft cover, but it needs the bolts for that too.
It's funny to me because honestly, the only reason why sometimes I feel like I want to get my license, and this is kind of crazy, is because I worry that in the event of some sort of a disaster or an emergency,
you'll want to walk. You'll be in a log jam.
Yeah, maybe.
There's 2 roads out of here.
That's true.
Like literally. Grab your environmentally protective straw that you can suck water out of a ditch and live.
Yeah.
Grab that.
Okay. And then just walk?
And a roll of toilet paper and get walking.
All right. So in the case of an apocalypse, I'm still good on foot. This is important to know.
Okay. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Jann Arden podcast. I'm here with my special guest, Caitlin Green, who's also one of the producers of this show. You're the producer of this show.
I think I'm told by everyone in charge that I'm the executive producer.
You're executive producer.
How did that happen?
I don't have any title except just for my name. Little change of pace here. I've been reading a book called Signs. It's by Laura Lynn Jackson.
Okay.
Do you believe in... I'm not going to say the afterlife because that's way too of a broad statement because there's so many varying degrees of that. Mm-hmm. But this book, Signs, by Laura Lynn Jackson, is about... this woman, she's a medium, and she does a lot of stuff, volunteers with a lot of grieving parents that have lost young children. She does a lot of work with them, like no charge. She just really gives them so much peace of mind, but she literally talks to the deceased.
Okay.
So I guess I was trying to find a way of saying that without people shutting the radio off. But so I've read this book, and it really gave me so much to think about. And it was a really positive experience for me because I think having both my parents gone and having lost many friends over the years, but my parents especially, just how to look for how they're communicating with me. And it has really blown my mind as to what has happened since I've been putting myself out there to communicate back.
See, I think the notion of the afterlife never made sense to me in terms of heaven and hell. That never made sense to me at all.
No, I don't think of that
That
either.
didn't resonate for me in any way. But I do firmly believe that we have so much, you've got so much energy, you have so much going on within you that I also don't believe that it just disappears. So I fall into this weird category of I haven't come across an organized set of beliefs that really hits home with me, but I do think something else has to happen. I just have never, nothing has ever clicked with me to know what it is. And the morning show I work on, we've had a psychic medium, John Edwards, on a few times.
We've talked about him before too, just a little bit, but I find them fascinating.
Some of the stuff they say when it's not super specific, your mom's here, she's talking about the necklace, that stuff,
Right.
I wonder about that.
Yeah.
When we talk about just sort of the concept of us all being connected in life and connected afterwards, that clicks with me in a way.
Well, the stories that she tells in this book are so complicated and so far-reaching and so deliberate that, I totally went into it as a skeptic, but just she spends this book, Signs it's called, in case you missed it, she spends it probably concentrating on 8 or 9 or 10 major stories of people that have lost a loved one and how their lives have unfolded. And these are people that are staunch they're not religious. I think they believe in God or whatever the case may be. Some of them are atheists, but none of them have been very ghosty or any kinds of beliefs in the afterlife. But the stories and how she relays them and tells them are just, I shook my head after every chapter going, what the hell?
I really do think too that there is, I haven't experienced anything firsthand where I felt like somebody who was really special to me who had passed away had made sort of a connection kind of from whatever.
But have you made any effort to put yourself out there? That was the other side of the story.
That's what I was just going to say. I also think that for the majority of our lives, we're not super receptive to these things until maybe you do lose someone and you start looking for it and you're open to it. And that's when you can have those opportunities and those moments come across. And it's like anything. If you're open to it in life, you're probably going to have a better chance of experiencing it. And I think that would apply here.
Well, I have thrown myself out there now, just as far as being open. But I'm that way in life on every regard. Like, I just throw my arms out. I think it has invited opportunity into my life. Mm-hmm. I think it has changed the way that I interact with people. I really am an open person, as you can probably tell by listening to this show. But I have had so many completely magical things that have been happening. I don't know if I talked about this story or not, and please stop me if I have, but I told you about the bird that was caught in my house. Did I tell you about that story?
Why do I think that you have, or did you post it on your social?
I wrote about it on my socials for sure, but okay. I had a little chickadee that came into the house. I rarely get birds into the house because I always shut the doors. I have a ton of birds where I live. Anyway, it came in, this tiny little chickadees flying around. I threw open every door. I put bird seed outside the open windows. I did everything to get this bird out. And I was frustrating the bird, and I'm pretty sure I was scaring her, kind of trying to wave towels and get her going. Long story short, I sort of gave up, left the windows open, had to go to a dinner, came back. I'm like, I'm either going to have more birds in the house.
Say 40 birds were there.
Yeah. But anyway, I came in the house and I couldn't see her anywhere. I couldn't hear her because it was flying around all over the place. So I'm like, good, she made it out. I rolled the windows up, went to bed, got up in the morning, still looked around. I'm a little tentative. I'm like, oh, that's so great. I'm so glad she got out. Made a cup of tea, sat down, and just sat down I was reading something, and this little tiny bird landed on my head. And I knew right away, I didn't swat at my head or anything. She landed on my head, and I thought, oh, she just wants help. It was such a moment of, this little bird's going to trust me. She saw me all day yesterday waving these towels around, opening windows. Mm-hmm. I don't know what she thought of me. And then she hopped on the arm beside the couch.
Yeah.
And I literally just grabbed her and took her outside and set her on the bird feeding table. And she sat there for just 1,000, 2 1,000, and then took off and just looked at me. And it just made me think of my mom so much and it was a lesson to me in my life too. It's something I really needed to be told is at some point, Jann, you are going to have to trust someone enough to risk everything. And just having that, I know this sounds like maybe a silly little story to a lot of people.
No, I love it.
But having that little bird land on my head and sit there on the arm of the couch going, okay, you're 40 billion times bigger than me, and you could squish me, you could kill me, but I'm going to trust you to help me because I want to get out of here. I want to go home.
And that's the thing about being open to those types of moments. And because a lot of people would just be like, oh, I'm frustrated. There's a bird in my house and I grabbed it and put it outside, and you dismiss it and you shut it down and you don't think about it. You don't let it get any deeper than that. And you took something and applied it very meaningfully to your own life. And I really do think that there is something.
There's just magic everywhere.
Exactly. There's something special about that. And I have been a skeptical person by nature for a huge portion of my life. I'll tell you, it doesn't bring a lot of joy into your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't really help you out personally very much. So those types of moments are very important.
Well, I think too, a lot of things that people are starved for is the interaction with nature. Mm-hmm. The importance of even walking through trees people feel better. Everyone feels better when they walk through. I think the most curmudgeon-y person in the world can walk through a grove of trees and, see a squirrel and be like, oh, super cool. Whoa. Oh, gosh. Sometimes I get paid to do that. That was terrible. This is the Jann Arden podcast. I'm sitting here with Caitlin Green. We've been talking about the wonders of connecting with nature and maybe believing in the afterlife. But now we're moving on because, well, no, Caitlin, this is what this show's all about. We want to pack a lot of action-packed information and whimsy into this hour.
And entertainment.
That's what we're here for.
So, have you ever played the game Would You
And
Rather?
let's solve a crime.
Solve a crime. We'll solve all of life's problems. We'll talk about the afterlife. We're also going to play Would You Rather.
Oh.
Have you played Would You Rather, and do you like this game?
No, I've never played it, but I've
Really?
always wanted to.
Okay, I love this game. This is one of my favorite things. It's simple, and obviously there are some very simple ways and very X-rated
You
ways
seem
you
really
can do it.
excited about it.
It's just always fun.
X-rated. Ooh, are we doing X-rated?
No, we're not doing
Okay.
X-rated. Well, I don't think I have any
Okay.
X-rated. I'm looking at my questions.
No, don't even look at them.
Okay, so we're going to play a nice round of Would You Rather.
Okay.
And I invite anybody who's listening to play along and answer for
All right,
themselves. These
all
are
right.
some real thought-provoking questions here.
Yeah. And you can always write us on the Jann Arden podcast on Twitter.
Yes, please tweet to us. If you have Would You Rather, ask questions or content suggestions,
Yeah.
just fire away.
At the Jann Arden podcast.
You can't miss us.
Yeah, you can't miss us.
Okay, so this is one. We did this on the morning show I work on this week, and it got a lot of response.
Okay.
Would you rather look 10 years younger from the neck up or the neck down?
Neck down.
Neck down, right?
I think so. You know what? Can I change that? Because I think
Yes.
I look better now. Mm-hmm. No, I'm going to change that. I'm going to say neck up.
Okay.
Because I look way better from the neck down than I did 10 years ago. Just because
Oh.
I've worked so hard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're going neck down, okay. Or no, neck,
Neck
up.
up,
Neck
neck
up.
up.
Neck up. See, I would have said neck down for me. Neck down.
Just my one eye, Caitlin.
Just your one eye. Because the neck, okay, I will say this. Look at the neck.
My neck roller. We've talked about my neck roller before, but anyways.
You
we
have,
won't.
you have a facial roller that
Yes.
helps you maintain some.
I don't know if it does anything.
It's supposed to be good for lymphatic drainage. I would personally choose the neck down just because my metabolism ain't what it used to be, and I still like carbohydrates, so there you go.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is, would you rather move to a new city or new town every week or never be able to leave the city or town that you're living in?
I would never be able to leave. I'd rather stay where I am for the rest of time.
Really?
Yeah, I love where I live.
You wouldn't want to keep moving around?
Never.
Huh.
I do that in my kind of life, so I think I have the best of both worlds. But if that was my choice, I would probably never leave my property.
So, and you travel a lot.
I travel over 200 days a year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I see your schedule sometimes, and that is true.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know. That's what I know. And it's all fleeting. Mm-hmm. But I really am enjoying it. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying life so much right now. It's not without its terrifying moments and doubt and tears and difficulties, but I'm getting much better equipped at dealing with it all.
But you're still a recharge at home person.
Recharge at home person.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But I love travel. I kind of think I would end up, at this stage of my life, I think I might do the move to a new place every week.
And you should at your
Yeah.
age. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got those two things down. Would you rather have a job with low pay but unlimited time off, all the free time you could ever want, or one that is very well paying but you got no vacation time whatsoever, but a ton of money?
I'm going to go low paying time off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my health would be better in the long run. Like I know lots of people that have these they're in like bankers and nothing to do with, and I'm not saying professions. I mean, these are all amazing people that work so hard, and they're the first person to admit, I should take more time off, but when I take time off, I hate it. Mm-hmm. So there's some people that really don't want time off. But me, I think just to hang out with my friends, I don't know if I'd want to work all the time.
I think I would be satisfied to earn less and have a little more personal time as well.
Yeah.
The burnout is real. And if you have all this money, but you can't spend it on experiences and you can't spend it on time with loved ones, I don't know what it's really good for.
I was broke most of my life. I was always a really happy person.
That's the other thing,
like
too.
I was so broke. But it never dawned on me. Now when I look back, I'm like, God, how did you even make it through? But I didn't think about it.
Do you have the experience where some of the like wealthiest people you know in your life are sometimes the most miserable?
Yep.
Oh, this has happened as I've gotten older.
Yep, absolutely.
'Cause, look, at least for me, when you're younger, I don't know a lot of
It's
people.
called losing touch with reality.
Yeah.
And people always assume I'm rich. I'm not rich. I am not. I have a mortgage, and I'm not in the big scheme of things. I mean, a friend of mine that I went to high school with said I Googled your net worth. I'm like, excuse me, and this is someone I don't really know very well. And I think it was just dinner conversation.
Yeah.
I was at a function and it was this art thing and she was there. But what a weird thing, to say to somebody. I Googled your net worth. Just a fun thing. Wow, you've done so well. I'm like, well, I don't know what it told you, but it's those things are all fake.
So that's what I was going to say. Please debunk the net worth search engines right now.
There's nothing real about that. Like, I looked at the number and I'm like, for one thing, there's 14 different numbers out there. But I'm like, there's nothing real. It's completely fabricated. So just so you know.
Okay, good. Then that's a PSA, everybody, because I feel like people do that. And again, the show I work on, we get a lot of stories tossed our way, and I talk about what's trending. So I'll talk about celebrities a lot, or I'll talk about famous business people and like net worth of blah blah blah. And I always wonder who is putting these numbers together.
It's impossible to know anyone's net worth. You can't. There's no way of getting. You can't look into somebody's net worth unless you're looking at tax receipts, which I don't know. Go look at my tax receipts. They're very unexciting.
Yeah, mine aren't very exciting either.
But anyways, yeah. What's the next question? This is very fun.
Would you rather watch nothing but Hallmark movies or nothing but scary movies?
Hallmark movies.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can't do scary movies. I think my life would be upside. What about you?
I'm going Hallmark too, and I'm saying this begrudgingly because there are some great scary movies out there, but I value cozy over scary. And so...
And just FYI, we're very happy that Hallmark retracted their very weird stance on an LGBTQ
Yes, I remember this story.
That was running, and they took it off because it was two women. It was a wedding planning company, and Hallmark didn't feel that it was right for their audience, and the backlash that they got was so resoundingly loud that the president of the company retracted it and apologized profusely. So just so you know, we only mention Hallmark now because they absolutely retracted their stance on that, because had they not done that, we would not be talking about them ever again.
They're back on the right side of history.
They're
I
back
remember that story.
Yeah.
That was trending. It was a big deal. And it was the nicest commercial. I watched the ad. It was just a beautiful moment of, two women in love kissing on their wedding day. And it made sense exactly for the marketing campaign.
It was beautifully shot. It was really great. But
anyway, it started because though it was like some group like Moms for Jesus complained.
And yeah, and I think they only have like 800 followers or something. So
it was 1 million moms.
1 million moms.
There you go. So I think
Moms for Jesus.
I mean, that's how my brain remembered it. 1 million moms. There's only like 800 of you.
We don't want you to sponsor us, 1 million moms. Just so you know.
Okay,
we don't want you.
We are both firmly planted on the side of Hallmark movies over scary movies.
Yes.
I don't think I could watch it. I don't think I could watch scary movies every day.
The last one I saw was called The Grudge. My guitar player took me to it. I don't know, or I don't know what it was, but it haunted me for years.
Really?
Yeah, it was the original Grudge. No, I've never seen The Exorcist.
Really?
Never. I don't watch scary movies. I don't like what it does to my body. I don't know why some people love the thrill of being afraid. Like, I watched it only because someone said, my dear friend that knows me, Nigel, he said, honest to God, Jann, it is quite funny. It's not that scary. And it wasn't that bad. I was not scared.
And scariness is very personal. So everyone's very scared of different things. So the movies that scare me might not be like scary to everybody, but I loved The Shining so much. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I have seen that.
Yeah, I love that one.
I didn't mind that, but it wasn't devil.
No, you're right.
It wasn't. It was just a guy losing his mind in a very giant hotel.
Which felt believable to me.
Red Rum.
Oh, I love it. I still love it.
Red Rum.
And I loved Hereditary. I love that scary movie. And I loved
Never seen it.
Midsommar was a great one that came out this year. I loved that one. So I have some scary movie favorites. I just couldn't watch it while I was cooking. That's the only thing. Like I can only handle so much.
My favorite movie is Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe.
Aw.
Well, that was the book by Fanny Flagg,
yeah.
but that's like one of my favorite. The other one is The Color Purple. So
there you go.
you're listening to the Jann Arden podcast. I'm here with Caitlin Green. Does your cell phone affect how you are living your life, and what does it do to you physically, if anything?
I have a full addiction to it. It lives in my hand. It's Velcroed to my hand. And
Do you panic when you lose it?
absolutely. I have had times where I leave the house and I realize I forgot my phone. Oh, I'm going back.
Of course you are.
I have to go back. It starts because it's a necessity out of work. I have to have it. I have to have it for work. I have to be able to be in touch with people. I answer my emails, et cetera, et cetera. And then you get all the apps. And then all of a sudden, I honestly think it's impacting my ability to focus on one task at a time. Because you're always being pulled in so many different directions. The second you touch your phone, I go to my phone to text
What is
someone.
your hourly, like what is, at the end of the day, do you go into your usage? Because you can scan up now and you can see how long that you've been looking at your phone.
I had to stop doing it because it was bumming me out.
Okay, what was one of the things it was, but was it 8 hours?
Oh, it wasn't ever 8 hours, but
What was it, 5?
Yeah, I had a couple of days where it gives you your weekly average. And so at the end of the week, I'd get a little alert and it would say, hey, your average this week was 6 hours a day on your phone. And I thought,
But I mean, you can't be too hard on yourself, because it's not like you're just staring at your phone. You could be like, if you're reading a book on your phone, it gauges that time. So if you're reading articles for 30 minutes on your trip into town in the morning, it calculates that. Obviously, it's just usage in general.
And I think it does.
Or if you're on a phone call
Yes.
for 35 minutes. I mean, a lot of us are on the phone. I mean, most of us now do texting to converse. Most of my friends do not want phone calls.
I'm in that group.
Like, they're like, text me. They don't want to physically talk to somebody on the phone.
Yeah, I only really want to text people. If somebody calls me, I get freaked out. I think it's an emergency.
Well, phone calls are like letter writing now.
Yeah.
Like when it's so good to hear your voice, because you're usually texting, which has no tone, no intonation. Like, sometimes it's very difficult to figure out if somebody's mad, sad, glad. You don't know. You can read one sentence a billion different ways and think, did I piss them off?
Tone is totally lost. And it's interesting. I was having a conversation with a friend this week, and she has to deal with a situation that's happening involving a roommate. And she said, I'm going to send her this text. And I said, save it. Just do this in person. That's a lovely text. And I know you
But call them.
Yeah.
Let them hear your voice.
You have to personalize it, because tone is lost via text. But I do also know that people resent having a voicemail left for them now. Like I've talked about this, with my friends.
Resent having a voicemail left.
They'll say, someone said that, oh, blah, blah, blah. I left you a voicemail. I don't check my voicemail. Yeah, everyone, just text me. That's the answer to everything. Just text me. Just text me.
Yeah.
And it's true. But the phone addiction is real. I know it's a problem. I don't know how parents deal with it, because I know that when you take phones away from kids now, it is a meltdown, and they're really trying to limit children's screen time.
But I mean, in defense of that, take anything away from a kid. I mean, your Etch-a-Sketch in the 70s, taking away their bike for a week. I mean, that's laughable now, isn't it? That you can't ride your bike for a week. Fine.
But those things were healthy, right? That was, at least you were doing something
well,
artistic.
I got admonished. I was, penalties for me were not being able to play with my pals outside. You're not going up the road. What? Not going up the road? Like, I would just be, what's happening here? I can't go play with Leonard and Dale?
And now parents would love it if their kids would go out and play with Leonard and Dale.
Oh, I was never in the house.
Yeah, and now it's a get off of Fortnite and go play with your friends.
I have never played a video game except for the James Bond thing in the 90s.
Oh, the 007 GoldenEye?
Yeah, and I'm sure we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64, is that what it was?
Yeah.
All I know is that the paddles vibrated, and,
It was great.
it's just like... It was, but that was, then you're just left slapping people.
Yes, the hand-to-hand combat.
So yeah, the phone. Sometimes it'll tell me like you're at 3.5 hours. You're at 4 hours and 1 minute, and that doesn't bother me all that much. It's funny when I'm at home, it always goes up a little bit, which surprises me. Because I don't feel like I'm doing, but honest to God, when I'm at home, I'll look at my inbox and I'm like, I have to return 70 emails. And they're usually very they take 15 seconds. There are quick answers to people that I haven't got to all the week. So all that stuff adds up.
It does. And so now the thing that's interesting to me is there was a study out of Germany that was released this week that said researchers found being addicted to your smartphone actually changes the shape and size of your brain. It changes it
For the worse?
for the worse. It's similar to the way the brain of a drug addict or
Oh my
someone
God.
because it's an addiction. And they really think it's affecting your brain's ability to function properly. It's affecting your gray matter development, that it isn't good. And I do think, and I don't know if you're with me on this, but it makes me feel more cluttered. It makes my brain feel more cluttered, and it makes me feel like I can't focus on things the way that I used to. I am noticing it, so I really do want to try to cut back. And the fact that I'm even saying, oh, I want to cut back, but I can't seem to, then that scares me.
Listen, these things will figure themselves out, I think. Are you the person that always has to get the newest phone when it comes out?
No.
Because I'm not.
I'm not either.
I had an iPhone 8. And so I actually skipped the last 4 years and went to the 11. But I know people that do it every single year. They always will donate their phone or give it to an uncle or their mom. You know, my mom's had the friggin' iPhone. She's on, Windows
But
77.
the people who line up at the Apple store.
Oh yeah, there's lineups. I went into the Apple store the other day just to get my just a gift for somebody, and I just remember looking at my friend going, "Is there always this many people in here?" There was 100 people in the store, like a hornet's nest, looking at stuff. But listen, this technology's here to stay.
I know.
So I feel like people are connected in a way that is unprecedented. It's amazing. The positivity. I think we spend a lot of time talking about how bad things are and how negative the phone is and how it's really affecting people. I think it's uniting people too. I mean, there's even in animal welfare, dog fostering and adoption, they say is at the highest level it's ever been because of how people can fire off a picture of a dog or, how they're getting animals picked up, cats or rabbits or dogs. Are you coming from Palm Springs? Can you take 3 dogs back? And the internet, the telephone, the modern use of that, there's a lot of great aspects. So I try and focus on that. But I agree. I mean, I think there's good and bad sides to every story.
It's just managing it. I mean, we're guinea pigs, right? So we're learning it all in real time, and we're figuring out what a healthy level is and what a healthy level isn't. And also, then you have to think, like for me at least, I do obviously. Hello, this is a podcast and a radio show, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, and that counts as screen time as well because your phone's on and it's functioning.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the ways and one of the things that has become more and more successful as people want to spend less time staring at a screen. Because listening has become so popular, and just putting your headphones on, your Bluetooth headphones.
All of a sudden, your mind gets to focus on one thing, because how often do we spend going from this app to that app to this app to check this? To do 1 hour at a podcast, an hour is preferably. But I see what you mean. Even listening to programs that teach you something.
Yeah.
Where you come off listening to something, learning something about history or about, oh gosh, I didn't know that about, downtown Toronto in the 50s. I mean, there's something like 16,000 different podcasts that are available on your favorite streaming, whether you're going to do Spotify or iTunes. 16,000.
I know. I tend to listen to the same few all the time, but that's another bonus to technology, to having a computer in your pocket
It's a computer in your pocket.
all the time, is that it does allow for things like us to speak to you and talk to you in your ear. I love it, but I spend way too much time on it
People are photographing the world. I remember years ago when the Funniest Videos was a program that we all loved to watch as a family.
I loved it.
It was just things gone wrong, right? It was
football to the groin wins every time.
It was so cute. It was always anything to the groin, falling on a fence or falling on a trampoline bar. But what's happened is that, they used to have people send in their VHS tapes to the show. I just watched something about this not so long ago about them physically having 250,000 videotapes over the course of a year.
Yep.
Sent in. Can you imagine how big those VHS tapes were?
What that library
and
looked
someone
like?
had to, physically look at them. And now, like the digital files, Ellen DeGeneres started a new Instagram page that she's just focusing on animals. You know, she loves animals so much, and it's called Paws Up.
Oh, okay.
And in the weekend, she put it up last week. They got 1 million followers over a few days. And it's the fastest growing Instagram page that I think they've ever had. But you must go look at Paws Up.
Okay, I'm going to
because
start following it right now.
it is the funniest, cutest. They've curated some really feel good. If you want to spend a couple minutes on a phone that you're not going to feel guilty about, and if you just want to look at a dog bouncing up and down in front of a table to try and get
1.3 million followers.
So yesterday I checked this.
Yep.
And it was at 1 million.
Wow.
So they've done another 300,000 people in a few days.
And I do think there are the craving people have for the positivity on social media now is so real. I follow it's a Twitter account and also an Instagram, The Dodo. And they put together...
The Dodo
I
makes
love
me
it.
feel better in a world gone mad.
Makes me feel better about
People
humans.
saving things.
Oh, sometimes I think I've had a bad day, or when I'm doing my trending reports, it's really dark and doom and gloom, and I go to the Dodo and I watch all these people save dogs and cats and elephants, and I just think, okay, it's a reset. It's a palate cleanser.
Well, it's because we're bombarded with the absurdity of trophy hunting, the absurdity of sending beautiful horses once a week out of the Calgary airport that get shipped for 2 days to land in Japan to be eaten for human consumption. On the Dodo, you'll see 4 grown men that are trying to save one single horse out of a mud-filled ditch. So when you see that comparatively to horses being shipped out every week and the terror that they go through, people are getting PTSD watching animal cruelty unfold, watching any of that. Anyway,
and that's why these accounts are so important, because it's like Mr. Rogers always said that his mom would tell him that in any dark,
good people,
you find the helpers, and they're out there.
Yeah, find the helpers. Maybe that's a good place to leave.
I think so.
We want to thank you for listening today. And be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself more than anything. And Caitlin, thank you for coming in and being my producer and my guest today.
Oh, my always pleasure.
And I'm going to go home thinking about what would you rather do?
Yes.
Play it with your friends. We don't even need board games. We just need those questions. Thanks for listening, guys. Jann Arden Podcast. We'll see you next time. Toodaloo.